Hello and welcome to Diabetes Connections in the News. I'm Stacey Sims, and every other Friday I bring you a short episode with the top diabetes stories and headlines happening now. In the News is brought to you by Edgepark. Simplify your diabetes journey with Edgepark. Our top story this week, Dexcom-to-watch is live in the UK and Ireland. First announced in 2017, this is probably the feature most listeners have asked me to ask Dexcom about. It should be available in the US this year. And yes, this means direct from transmitter to watch. No phone needed to play middleman. It doesn't change that the transmitter will still send the signal to your phone, and it will also send it to your medical device. The G7 is the first CGM that can send its info to 3 separate devices. By the way, big thanks to my friend Camille Armacki for this news. You may know him better as Nerdabetic. He posted a video all about it, and I'm going to link that up like I link up all of my sources in the show notes. New study about Wegovy that shows the drug helped people with type 2 diabetes who also had a specific obesity-related heart condition. This condition happens when the heart pumps normally but is too stiff to fill properly. The researchers say weight loss is a factor but doesn't explain everything. Wegovy was first approved in 2021 to treat obesity. Just last month, the FDA approved it to reduce the risk of cardiovascular death, heart attack, and stroke in obese and overweight adults with heart disease. And this latest study offers evidence that the benefits extend to people with diabetes. Wegovy is the exact same drug as Ozempic, which is only approved for people with diabetes. Worth noting, Novo Nordisk, who makes Ozempic and Wegovy, funded this study. Statins raise the risk for increased glucose levels and the development of type 2 diabetes, but the risks are outweighed by cardiovascular benefit, according to a new study. This was a big review of 23 trials involving more than 150,000 people. These researchers say as people at risk for cardiovascular outcomes are also at risk for type 2, any prescription of a statin should come along with strategies to prevent or delay diabetes. And they say these findings emphasize the importance of always being alert for harmful adverse effects, even with the most beneficial and successful preventive therapies. If you live with type 1, got a new study looking for participants. It's going to investigate a new medication to help avoid nighttime low blood sugars. The medication is only called ZT01 right now. It's an injectable that works by increasing the amount of glucagon that is naturally made in your body during hypoglycemia. In a small proof of concept trial, 90% of participants saw increased glucagon level after the treatment with no serious health events reported. I'm going to link this up, but you need to know you have to be between the ages of 18 and 75, have had type 1 for at least 5 years, a history of nighttime hypos, and A1C under 10, and if you use an AID system, you are not eligible. Interestingly, the company that's developing the drug wants it to be available for people with type 1 and insulin-dependent type 2 diabetes. They'll need to do more study in the future for people with type 2. A new sort of census about type 1 diabetes from the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health in Baltimore finds that nearly 4 in every 1,000 U.S. youths and 5 in every 1,000 U.S. adults reported having type 1 diabetes. This was between 2019 through 2022. The researchers say the results are consistent with the CDC's estimates, but it adds to research by providing more precise, up-to-date national estimates. And they also go through subgroups and subcategories. And I'm going to link that up if you'd like to see how it breaks out in terms of male versus female, Hispanic, Black, white, that kind of thing. No update or change on Novo Nordisk's decision to discontinue Levimir, the long-acting insulin. They are taken off the market. But interesting story here. Allison Smart has a daughter with type 1. She says nothing else on the market works as well for her. Smart has created the Alliance to Protect Insulin Choice, a volunteer organization. She's lobbying Congress. She's also reached out to Mark Cuban and his Cost Plus Pharmacy. Cuban says he'd be happy to partner with Novo to sell Levimir. Of course, there's no sign that Novo is interested in partnering with anybody, and so far, Cuban's Cost Plus Pharmacy doesn't sell insulin, but we will keep watching this one. Becton Dickinson, which you may know better as BD, says it has increased production of medical syringes in the United States. This is after the FDA recommended not using some China-made syringes as part of a quality probe. BD is based in the U.S., and they say they're going to increase manufacturing in Nebraska and Connecticut because of these concerns. As far as I can tell, the FDA has not issued any kind of recall for syringes made in China, but they have raised concerns, so we'll keep watching this one. Back to the news in just a moment, but first, Diabetes Connections in the News is brought to you by Edgepark. You've worked hard your whole life, and diabetes management shouldn't slow you down. Edgepark is your trusted go-to supplier for all things diabetes management, supplies, and continuous glucose monitors, like Medtronic's Guardian sensor, Dexcom G7, and the Freestyle Libre 3. Edgepark accepts most insurance plans, including select coverage for Medicare and Medicare Advantage plans. And Edgepark navigates insurance complexities for you and handles the paperwork. Go to diabetes-connections.com and click on the Edgepark logo to learn more about Edgepark's diabetes supplies. Back to the news right now, and another non-invasive CGM to talk about, but this one's a little bit different. BioLink has a wearable patch that uses an array of tiny electrochemical sensors to measure glucose levels from the intradermal space just below the surface of the skin. The company says they will complete U.S. clinical trials this year. How does it work? Not a lot of information, but you put it on your skin, they say the upper forearm, and, quote, the patch incorporates an intuitive display on the device, informing users when glucose levels stand within a target range and when they go beyond a healthy range. The company designed its sensors on a silicon chip for redundancy and reliability. And finally, I'm sure this isn't the first or only time it's happened, but a South Carolina man used ChatGPT to get the correct diabetes diagnosis. Cooper Myers had been diagnosed with type 1. His father, grandfather, and great-grandfather all had type 2. But they were all really lean, he says, almost underweight. Then in January 2023, Myers consulted the artificial intelligence program, ChatGPT, and asked, if my father is a skinny type 2, my grandfather is a skinny type 2, and I am a skinny type 2 with no antibodies, then could we have a different kind of diabetes? Don't get ahead of me. I know some of you already have figured this out, but ChatGPT came back with a list of diabetes conditions that were not the common type 1 or type 2, and a little bit about them. One was MODY, maturity onset diabetes of the young. It happens when there is a gene mutation through many generations, and it resembles type 1 or type 2. So Cooper Myers went to the doctor. He didn't say anything about ChatGPT. He just kind of pushed for another diagnosis, saying, could it be anything else? And he found out he has the gene mutation for MODY2, one of the 3 kinds of MODY. He did produce some insulin, but not enough. And MODY is treated very differently. We have done several episodes on this condition. Turns out Myers can take oral medications twice a day, a bit different from using an insulin pump 24/7. And that is it for In the News. 2 great episodes coming up next week on the Type 1 show. We are talking about the Twist. This is the newest insulin pump that's going to hit the market later this year. It's a disc-shaped pump that twists open. It's an AID system that uses tide pool loop. We have a deep dive, and that is coming up in just a couple of days on Diabetes Connections. Over on Diabetes Connections Type 2, I'm talking to a university dean who retired and then decided to go for it and became a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. She is in her late 50s. She has type 2 diabetes, and you're going to see her in the 60th anniversary Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition. She was great to talk to. Lots going on around here. If you like what you're hearing, please share the shows. I'm Stacey Sims, and I'll see you back here soon.